Telecom security has a blind spot, and attackers know it.
How long would it take an advanced hacker to break into the most complex, most powerful AI models that we've built?
Most security tools weren't built for telecom. They can't see GDP tunnels. They miss PFCP attacks and they don't understand NGAP or SBA related threats. And that's the problem. Operators are forced to juggle disconnected tools, fuzzing here, pen testing there, no single platform, no automation and no lifecycle visibility, and no alignment to compliance frameworks such as XCAS or NICAS. All while testing still depends on manual labs and patchwork environments. And the consequences? Look at Salt Typhoon. That breach lasted 18 months undetected, exposing over 1 million users including US officials. Or SK Telecom, where nearly 1 million customer records were compromised. Today, enterprises uses 5G as their backend, phone scams and leaked PII. Now we are talking about GDPR penalties and lost trust. That's why regulators are stepping in. XCAS, NICAS, zero trust. Security assurance is no longer a checkbox, it's a mandate. This is where X-SCAS changes everything. One platform, all in one telecom security testing, fuzzing, pen testing or SCAS validation. Automation across your product lifecycle. Built for telecom, built for real world compliance. Here how it works. So the scenario is there are 3 test cases: confidentiality, integrity, replay protection. This is one test suite. Then we have filtering and firewall policies. Then we have malformed and unauthorized packets. So there are 3 test cases which you want to test against our network functions. It can be a UPF or it can be an SMF or a Gnode B, anything which is software under test. Okay. Now, this is just the business requirements of the test cases, right? What we need to do, we need to transform this business requirements into the technical requirements, meaning we will have to say that what is tested, what are the validation steps, and what is the expected result out of these test cases. So this is just to give you an example. If we get these test requirements, we can transform into something like giving a detail of test procedures. It has also the validation step as well as how you will be decrypting it, or what is the expected behavior out of this one, right? So once we get to this part, the second thing what we need to do, we need to configure this thing in a code or a YAML file, which can be executed against the network functions, right? And then we need to get a report out of it, that how do we how many test cases are passed, or if the test cases are failed, what are the reasons why these test cases are failed. So how do you do all of this, right? We have created this XSCAS platform where you can take the business requirements, which is this, translate into something like a technical requirements, which is we will do it behind the scenes for you. Then we will code and execute these cases against your platform using XSCAS. So I'll take you directly to the XSCAS. You'll see how this is the dashboard view of the platform. In the front page, it will show you the overall status of your test cases. For example, if you have test cases, let's say 13 test cases, how many of them are failed, passed or skipped. Then you'll also see the last 5 runs, meaning if you have different test suites, so you will see an overall view of the last test cases, what has been executed here. Then you'll see different results, different test suites here. So this is like a dashboard where you'll see like a view of your. Then there are option of servers here. Like the servers are the compute part of the infrastructure, meaning if you want to test, let's say UPF, and you have to test N3 interface, N4, and as well as N6 interface, you need to create provision the Gnode Bs, as well as you have to create the control plane, let's say SMF. Then you have to also configure the DN network as well. So whatever simulation you are doing it, here in this server option, you will be able to see what are the CPU memory utilization, what is the consumption of these infrastructure resources. So this will give you an idea to how much resources are being consumed, as well as if you are done with your test cases. Now if you have to come back and see, hey, whether you have to decommission any of this, just to save the resources, you can do this using this. The projects are here. You will see different projects that you will be configuring in this platform. So in this demo case, I have just provisioned UPF SCAS here. So the UPF SCAS is to test 3 test case scenarios. One is the confidentiality and integrity protection. Then we need to test the firewall and filtering policies, as well as we have to test the malformed and the unauthorized packets that we want to send towards our target. Now, in all of these test suites, we can configure multiple test cases. Here in this particular demo, I have created 5 test cases, and each of them has its own validation steps and expected outcomes as well. So just to show you how we'll configure these test cases behind the scenes is, I'll just come in here and option. So in this config option, if you are, let's say, having a UPF of a vendor, let's say Nokia or Huawei, right? So whatever configuration and parameter details are needed, we'll be taking from you, and we'll be configuring, into the UPF. So which means that we are depicting the same environment as what you have been using it in your network, right? So this is just to show you an example, and whatever like interface details are needed. For example, if this UPF needs to connect to an SMF or DN or G.B, we'll also use the same parameter and configuration details from you, so that we will simulate on a live network, or how you have configured, how you would have configured at your infrastructure. This is what we want to test against. Uh, so just to show you here, if we will execute one of these test cases, you'll see, this is how you'll be able to run the test case. You have to select the infra profile if you want to test the UPF-SCAS profile, or if you need more resources, then you'll have to have a different infra profile. But just to give you an example, I've already configured this profile for you. So I'll use the product logs option. If you want to take the logs of it, you can select this one, and you'll just execute, click run, here. So here you'll see the test execution is been started, and if you want to see how it's been running, and you will go into the results tab here, and here you'll see the UPF test suite what we have executed has been running now, and there are 10 seconds, and the last one which we have executed is coming under run ID 381, and similarly there are like cases which are executed successfully. So I'll just like open one of them, which is, for example, here. You'll see this case has been executed successfully earlier, and if I go in here, check that if I want to, let's say, test the logs or take the traces and send to my back office team for further analysis, I'll come in here and I'll like open one of them, for example, here, and here you'll see the logs coming in here, and it also can give me the PCAP traces, which is also very important if you want to troubleshoot or if you want to analyze further. So just to show you an example here, if I open up one of the log files here, it will show me the exact steps, the phases, how I want this test case to be executed, right? Which is very good. And you will see the granular level details or not. And here, if you notice, one of the steps in my test case execution is that IP table rules are applied at SUT, which is for software under test. And this is, for example, the execution of the iteration 1 of test case. This one has been executed successfully, and this is how the result looks like for me, right? And there are different other test cases and the logs you'll get depending on the test cases, and whatever you want to test it. So this is for this particular test case. There was another test case which I executed earlier for the replay protection. So for that case, I have some logs which I have collected here, and just to show you an example here. So in that particular test case, which you want to test by sending the replay packets to the UPF, and if we have disabled or enabled the perimeter at the UPF, here this log will show you that, hey, what is the result of that particular test case. So in this particular example, you see replay was detected as expected. Packet replay and detection functionally successfully verified. So this is what you want to test against, that whether once we carry out the replay attack, and if the UPF has that perimeter enabled or disabled, what will happen, whether the test case will be passed or failed, right? So this is what we were able to see here in this log. Moving here, moving on from here, this XSCAS platform, as I told you, can be used for the scanning purposes as well. So there are some enterprises who wants to run scanning capabilities, right? So this is where you'll come in here, security. You can schedule security scan, but the security scan can be of two variants. One is the static one, which is just the scan where you will see that whether there are any sensitive information in your code or not, whether the code is leaking any information or not, or whether it is any like keys or IAM roles which are being configured, which have the highest privileges, right? Let's say root logins. So those all checks can be like identified using a static security scan, and this is how you can configure it, right? So the other test case scenario is that if you want to configure, let's say if you are going towards your production environment and if you want to do penetration testing, let's say the exploitation where the ethical hackers can come into your system, log into your platform, then execute different commands just to exploit different vulnerabilities. This is also, you can do this by using the dynamic security scan option. As well as if you want to observe and visualize how the profile come in here in this topology section, where you'll just click in onto the test suite what you have configured, and you'll be able to see the different topology images. So in this case, when I wanted to test UPF, I can see in one of the cases where I want to just test N3 interface, I'll see this is being turned red, meaning that this is will be tested in this particular scenario. And in other cases where I have to also test N4 and N3, you'll also see this SMF is being configured. This is through our machine pool, and this is also turning red. This is a good visualization if you want to see which interfaces on in this test scenarios needs to be tested, right? So this was also a topology option that what we give to our users. There is also a place of market. There's also a marketplace here, which is, for example, if I want to use any open source tool, wants to customize it for your particular use case. Let's say I want to use a DDoS tool which is available in the market, but I have to configure and customize it for your use case. So any tools which I'll be using it through my marketplace, meaning we will get the tool of what is required, as well as the dependency what is required, and configure it and customize it as per your use case. So you'll see all those apps coming into this marketplace as well, which is really cool. Why do you trust Xecurity Pulse? We are telecom security veterans. We have built award-winning labs, and we have contributed to ORAN 3GPP and GSMS standards, and we have helped number of telecom vendors and operators, and we are backed by a global community of trusted practitioners. But let me leave you with this. The next Salt Typhoon could already be inside your network. Don't wait for an audit or a breach to act. Head to xsecuritypulse.com/xscas, book your demo now, and let's secure the future of telecom together.